just look at the asset as more than just I'm holding this and hoping for capital appreciation. Because the distribution is so large, the chart shows none of that. And the accumulation that you can gain is significant. We have to have a whole different approach when looking at the price of FLR. We can't just say, oh, this is like, some other asset that's on the crypto charts, and look at the chart and expect to get answers there. Not financial advice. None of this is financial advice. We're in a 3-year distribution. This is not inflationary rewards. So 765 million are coming out every month. I haven't calculated the inflation to circulating supply, but just to give everyone a comparison, XRPL in this Rosari report, I think it was 5.1 or 5.4% was the average inflation rate to the circulating supply of XRP since 2020 or 2021. So that's just to the circulating supply. Now, FLR, the inflation rate's 10%, but that's to the total supply. Since we're in the middle of a 3-year distribution, which then has a hard cutoff, so it ends, it's over, there's no more. But during that time, everyone's able to accumulate. People are earning 20% per month. The value is going to be accrued from the accumulation, not from the price appreciation. I think if you have that mindset and understanding that and knowing that, it will help you look at the space. Because if you're looking at price like, oh, it's like Bitcoin. Oh, Flare didn't go as much as high as XRP did this week. Well, when you have so much coming onto the market and you're earning so much because you're accumulating your share in the network. So why is it 3 years? It's to filter out everybody who's going to participate more is going to have a larger share at the end of those 3 years. Then when that 36 months ends, hard cutoff, the inflation rate from the FTSO will be down to 5% or less. And then that's when you could really take into account like charts and the price, and you'll see more utility demand. We also don't have any utility demand for it as collateral yet now. Throw in a caveat there. That the price can still go up, okay? It can. But if you 10x the size of your bag or your stack in those 3 years, and the price stays flat, it's the same thing as you having a set amount at the beginning of those 3 years and the same amount at the end with the price going 10x. It doesn't matter. It's the same difference. As we see more of the community minting and wrapping assets from other chains like XRP, BTC, Doge, Litecoin, XLM, Algo onto Flare, this will proliferate throughout the Songbird network first, and then Flare, you get the value on the network. People want to use blue chip crypto assets, and the dApps need that on Flare. And that's one thing that's been missing because it's early in the network, which just launched. As that value comes on, and Flare has incentive for everybody to bring value onto Flare because there's 20 billion set aside in the incentive pool that goes to those who wrap or mint an asset on Flare that's use the FTSO stake connector as backed by FLR and or similar collateral or stable coins or other assets potentially, but it's FLR likely in the beginning. That's going to drive TVL. But bringing that value on creates more deeper liquidity pools, and they'll be paired against Flare. Then you need more FLR. So there's multiple things that come with TVL, and it allows users, then or us, to bring value that most people are just sitting in their, almost everybody with XRP is just sitting in their wallet, earning them nothing. And this is a way now you instantly earn FLR, but that's going to be most likely monthly distribution or twice a month. And then you get to use the asset. And it also comes with a FTSO vote, which could be of value. Now, it doesn't earn network rewards, but it's of value, so you could be compensated in some way or earn with that in the future. So that comes with every Layer K asset, F asset, X asset. I'm not sure about wrapped assets by dApps, though, if they're going to be able to earn from there. That's unclear. I don't think so. if they're using a custodian or a semi-decentralized way with wrapping tokens from other networks that may be Flare or the F assets are not connected to Layer Cake. But TVL is what drives value. And that's something that is that underlying core utility for Flare, FLR. Additional adoption as more dApps, because you could earn the native token, and that native token then comes with a risk-free ability to use it anywhere, and the FTSO rewards and the FLR drops. So as other people come in, it's beneficial because you get those with the token regardless. And you're bringing your blue chip crypto over, which earns that. So that's the feedback loop that develops over time. Now, that's not going to happen instantly. And the more inflow and the more outflow that there is to Flare, the larger the adoption rate will be. Shouldn't be expected that the price should rise with it. Now, this is very different than something like a Klima, or like when we had things like that had massive yields that were decreasing, but they were protocols or DAOs. This is a layer 1 blockchain that has multiple use cases trying to solve a problem with the whole community of users, of millions of users. So very different. And it ends, hard cutoff. This is outside of the whole, swing trading. I'm leaving that out in this capacity because I don't really do trading, but that is another route. But you're compounding because you know where this is going. Same with XRP and FLR if the network's successful. It's your share of the network, and it's a chance of accumulation. That's it. And GPK stressed this multiple times before too, and we're going to continue to, because if you could accumulate more than the person next to you and everyone else in the community at the end of those 36 months, then you'll have more than they will. And then it ends, though. If there was no end, then that would be considered inflationary rewards. And now is the time to just think of it as accumulating. I wouldn't expect a big price movement. If it goes 4 cents, 5 cents, we're going to hit 765 million every month. It is interesting that the price started to move after the distribution. So just of note how the community is reacting to things, that's important. And, if you want to swing trade, that's your own prerogative. I just don't go there. It's not my thing. But, hey, if you're good at it, that's, good for you, and that's fine. But from an opinion of hoping, everything goes to moon, because that's like the general way that a lot of us came into the space is like, oh, we hope the price goes up, right? That's how we make money. But that's not the only way going further in the future. And something like FLR, it's definitely not really the ideal way, because if you look at FLR, is capital appreciation really where you're going to gain your most value? I don't think so at all. I mean, think about it. You have a token distribution attached. Let's take one FLR token, right? That comes with 36 months of a distribution. So compound that, whatever that comes out to. You got FTSO rewards, your compound. Staking capabilities after beta. So that can be just added in. So figure just boosted FTSO rewards, we'll call it. But it's utilizing the FLR to earn other assets. That allows you to accumulate a portfolio without having to pull fiat out of your pocket and into the market. And it generates more of those assets, which then you could mint or wrap onto Flare, which earns more Flare, and then also could generate its own revenue stream. So creating those feedback loops now while you have the time to accumulate.
So when we launch the F assets, you'll be able to mint and use on Flare FBTC, FXRP, FAlgo, FDoge, FLTC, FXLM, and I think I said FFilecoin. And the uses of that will be DeFi, crowdfunding, which I'll come on to in a second, and payments. And again, I'll make the point. You'll be able to use Bitcoin for payments cheaply and quickly. And that's really quite fun. And you'll be able to deploy your Flare as an agent into the F asset system to earn in the F asset you're securing. So you'll be able to earn Bitcoin if you're securing F Bitcoin. You'll be able to earn XRP if you're securing FXRP, able to earn XRP if you're securing FXRP. And remember, you can earn that whilst delegating. So there's no optionality between delegating and earning the F asset return as an agent. There's no optionality between delegating and earning the F asset return as an agent. That's really important.
And so Flare's tokens used really for two things. And we have an internal and we have an external economy. So the internal economy is what I said, is that's FTSO staking and the stake connector. And this is rewarded in either Flare or Songbird, depending on which network you're in. If you want to think about that, that is a reapportionment of value from people that are either too lazy to stake or are staking badly. And that flows to people who are staking well. So this is a redistribution of value internally. And really, if you want to think about why do we want to do that, it then allows, if you then hold those tokens, you can then earn value in the underlying tokens that are being bridged to Flare. So you earn fees in XRP, in Litecoin, in Stellar, in Algo. And so the participation over here is essentially the shuffling of the rights to earn fees for bridging those tokens. And that's really the utility, like the economic utility of the token. So it's a bit like a global economy whereby the internal economy dictates how much of a share of the total earnings from abroad you get.
And the value accrual is sort of as you're successful in attracting assets to cross the bridge to Flare, like the bigger that pie is, the more you represent a bigger and bigger, or a percentage slice of that increasingly sized pie.
Exactly.
The market could go down further and we could go into a further bear market. That's absolutely possible. But at some point, things are going to turn around. And that's when those things will, all of a sudden, you're like, well, I'm only compounding this much. But the price probably will grab as more demand comes in. It's just so hard to say what demand level. Like if the demand does overpower the supply, it will absorb the price. Or if there's some of the catalyst that could absorb that distribution, maybe it's something I'm not aware of, or we're not aware of, that comes about in a year, that it starts absorbing that. For whatever reason, say this is insurance protocol really takes off, and it's like there's a heavy demand for FLRs, collateral or reserve pool on Flare because it's swallowing up a big chunk of the insurance industry. Just hypothetically, that would be one thing. Now, we're right now just the XRP community. We don't have even a dApp ecosystem yet. Until the stake connectors fully implemented, the contracts are aligned, and we see a DeFi ecosystem proliferate. Like, a good example to look at is go look at Ethereum L2s. That's where you're seeing a DeFi ecosystem boom, right? Arbitrium, Optimism, that area is exploding. Derivatives, DeFi, DEXs, you're seeing a lot of volume going through there. Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, and it's down right now, but next bull run, it's going to just drive higher. So it's not going to be just, the market turns around. It's the market turns around, but value starts now going into these protocols. And you could look at these different DeFi protocols, and we talked about this in the Twitter spaces yesterday. There's protocols that you might want to just utilize, and then there's protocols that might have their own governance token. So there's different, ways you might utilize something. You might just use a protocol to swap through. And less counting on these exchanges. I would expect less reliance on them. By the end of the next year or two, I wouldn't expect any reliance on them at all going forward. And Azog even explained how, things like Banksta on the XRP Ledger, boom, right into your Zum wallet, XRP, from your bank account. Totally bypass Coinbase, every one of them. So even though in the short term, there is like the choke point 2.0 going on and those things, and it's restrictive, but that will pass. And in the background, things like the immersive integration of MasterCard direct to Web3 bypasses Uphold, bypasses all these other intermediaries right to the MasterCard platform. And you could spend XRP then directly. Now, some people will say, well, why am I spending XRP? You might not want to. Like, I would never sell all mine, not financial advice. None of this is financial advice. And we are just coming out of a bear market. So when it's a bear market, not as many people are jumping in to grab yield. But as the cycles change and we see more interest coming in, people are going to be tripping over each other to try to get their flare to get a stake in the network. So you have to look at it as like, what's your share of the network? So the price is not the most relevant factor. And that's going to be the most difficult thing, I think, for the broader community to really grasp. It will take a while before they see that, oh, we can look at a chart and it's doing this, but the chart doesn't matter. So this is why chart is just a tool, and it's not always the end all, because if there's a distribution taking place, so why is it distributing for 3 years? It's doing this so that at the end of those 3 years, it's a broad distribution already with the airdrop, but after 3 years, what you'll have is a very broad set, and you'll have those who are participating and who have driven the growth of the network over the past years and have held and then use that as collateral. FLR's main use case that we see right now is as pristine collateral.